Alright, Ayin Thropos here with another episode of You Don't Know. Excuse me. Anyway, the marketing team has advised me that there are to be 7 main topics that we're going to cover here on the show. The first one being alien evidence and/or the alien narrative. I've got a few things to say about that. Well, let me first of all say, my name is Ayin Thropos, and I'll be calling the shots around here, huh? That's it, I'll be calling the shots around here. Welcome to my show, You Don't Know. If there is one truth in the cosmos, one cosmic truth, the truth is, you don't know. What's up? Right. The marketing team reached out to me and they let me know that we're going to have 7 main topics that we discuss here on the show. 7 topics, and the very first one is alien evidence and/or the alien narrative. There's been a lot of controversy over the years concerning the alien enigma and the idea of disclosure. The idea of disclosure is the premise that the U.S. government has withheld information from the general public for decades concerning intelligent alien life forms that have been visiting our planet for some time. This idea of disclosure is what some investigators, members of the public, and pundits want to resolve. The idea is that an official disclosure or sharing of secrets enacted by the U.S. government will be the dawn of a new era of enlightenment, wherein we will finally get the truth about the alien question, among other things. There is over 66 years of documented efforts by the U.S. government and intelligence agencies, the so-called national security state, which was created by my family, by the way. No need to thank me. To suppress information about UFOs and aliens. Or so we are led to believe. It is my assertion that if the U.S. government really wanted to suppress such information, they could do a far, far better job. The truth is, the UFO cover-up has been so spotty, amateurish, and fundamentally flawed that years ago I realized that it was all a ruse. A pretend cover-up to achieve aims that are the exact opposite of what the impression is that the government wants to do. In other words, there has been no cover-up. And in fact, we have been force-fed a steady diet of alien sightings, UFO movies, Close Encounters, Star Wars, and every fucking conceivable imagination known to man! What's up? It's pretty fucked up. The American people think that the government is... I'm sorry about that. Oh, the American people think this, the American people think that. That the American government is attempting to cover up the existence of so-called aliens. Okay, so if they're not trying to cover up the aliens, exactly what the fuck is going on, huh? That's the $20,000 question. Could it be the exact opposite? Could it be that the sustained effort is actually to indoctrinate every man, woman, and child in the United States into thinking that aliens and UFOs are real? I think that there is substantial evidence to prove just that. A veritable fuckload. Case in point. Roswell. Easily the most botched cover-up in world history. If in fact it was that. Everybody from the generals to the enlisted men spilled their guts or leaked information. There were pictures, eyewitness testimonies, accidental leaks, and even a news article published in a local newspaper announcing the alien presence to the world. The newspaper article was rescinded the following day, but this only added fuel to the fire and convinced Americans that something was awry. It was and still is. The federal government is working harder than ever to convince us that little green men are all over the place in their discoid craft. No, I didn't say disco craft, I said discoid craft. And not only that, but there is a new generation of experiencers, people claiming to be involved in the SSP or secret space program. Are you fucking serious? Come on, man. Get off the fucking gas, huh? You goddamn disinformationists. Motherfuckers are trying to run a game, huh? Let me tell you something about it. I ain't trying to hear about all that, huh? I didn't spend years of my life fighting for my pride and fighting for my life every motherfucking day to swallow a fucking lie like that, huh? Think I'm gonna break weak? You got me fucked up, motherfucker. Yeah. So, we hear about all these conferences and stuff they're having out there in the desert. You know, disclosure in the desert, things like this. And we see many sensational experiencers on the scene. People in Mars jump rooms, you know, Andrew Bishago. Oh, and don't forget the two gay boys, huh? Not that there's anything wrong with that. Yes, my friends, I'm talking about the two little faggots in particular, David Wilcock and Corey Goode. These punks are steadily trying to convince the world, and actually having a bit of success, that Corey Goode, a so-called experiencer, has been surreptitiously mind-controlled for years, and that when he is not giving speeches in the sweltering desert to fat, lazy, brain-dead retirees or a handful of UFO backstage groupies, that Corey Goode is actually a Pleiadian commander who goes through Mars jump rooms to interdimensional worlds where he fights malevolent forces with his laser gun. What a fucking crock of shit, huh? And David Wilcock, that little cocksucker, pun intended, claims to have vetted Corey's fantasies and state that they are verifiably true. I guess in some alternate dimension. Okay. So, serious investigators such as myself and a whole host of accredited UFO researchers have cried, foul! The waters are muddied enough without having a couple of con artists such as David Wilcock and Corey Goode going around and telling asinine and blatant lies about the UFO phenomenon, which is at least partially real. No, I am not saying that UFOs or their inhabitants come from distant galaxies. I don't know. One thing is for sure, the government has lied to us about everything from religion to politics to banking to weapons of mass destruction, 911, need I go on? Ad nauseum? Yeah, they lied to us about all that crap. But they're going to tell us the truth, or the inverted truth rather, about UFOs and alien life forms. I call BS. I'm in it with the rest of you. I have been kept in the dark, regardless of my real bloodline affiliation with the pharaonic dominators. And the easily verifiable fact that my family created the national security state. No need to thank me. Often the national security state these days, they call it the deep state a lot. Just a little FYI. So, enough of that disclaimer. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of the thing. I'm going to review a number of items which may or may not have any correspondence to aliens or UFOs, but all of them are thought to. The Museum of Anthropology, Jalapa, Mexico. I personally visited what Stuart Swerdlow calls the Reptilian Museum. In September of 2016, with my film crew, I went to the museum personally in the state of Veracruz, and although it was not a part of our itinerary, and it wasn't until I stepped inside that I realized that this was the very same Reptilian Museum that Stuart Swerdlow had been speaking of, that he had dubbed the Reptilian Museum. I was blown away in a non-reptilian kind of way. No, just kidding. So anyway, I cannot tell you whether reptilian shapeshifters exist or not. And if they do exist, whether they are corporeal or not. What I can tell you is that reptilian museums exist because I was in one, and it was one of the most astonishing things I've ever seen in my life. And that's for real, huh? And I'm a young man, but I ain't a young man. You understand what I'm saying, huh? That's it! In the state of Veracruz, in the Yucatan Peninsula, is the Mexican government's Museo de Antropología, A world-class museum which has the world's greatest collection of Toltec artifacts and statuary, and has one of the world's greatest collection of Mayan artifacts. All right. And statuary. Officially, the so-called Toltec people were the first great civilization of Mesoamerica, the progenitors of later civilizations like the Mayan and Aztec civilizations. Enormous stone heads. Let me say that again. Enormous stone heads were discovered by oil exploration crews in the early 1900s. Many of them were dynamited to get them out of the way. Some of the heads were almost as big as a small house. Each head is unique, with its own distinct features, and each head seems to represent an actual person and not some stylized representations. Oh, and one other thing. The heads and faces are distinctly Negroid in appearance, or distinctly Africoid. I'm not sure what the correct political term is. I want to say that they're black men. That's what I'm trying to show you. Okay? The Toltec heads unmistakably represent black people, with no ifs, ands, or buts. The only problem is that official history states that the first black people in Mesoamerica were African slaves brought over after the Spanish conquest. So basically the story doesn't add up. After anomalous features of the Toltec heads, there are another feature that is quite astounding. They're all wearing helmets, and a lot of people think they're space helmets. The further I progress down this road of discovery of Earth's mysteries, the less I care about the nuts and bolts concepts of UFOs. I'm not going to get into that very much right now, and I'm simply giving information, and it's up to you, the viewer, to decide what you think. And it's up for me to decide that you don't know! No, just kidding about that, huh? God dang, lighten up. What's up? All right. The Museum of Anthropology in Jalapa is chock full of very weird statuary depicting many things, including human beings shape-shifting into grotesque reptilian-like entities. It's bizarre. Easily the strangest museum I have ever visited, and I've seen more than my share of weird museums. Another statue depicts a human head that has a head and face clearly depicted on one half of the statue, and just an amorphous blob on the other. The statue almost seems unfinished, and that is what experts believed until it was learned and agreed upon that the statue represents the idea that man lives in two worlds, the subjective and the objective, and that man is a living duality, or living in a living duality, and hence conflicted. And for one, I thank God that's not true. It's a brilliant observation, and I believe it's correct. There are a number of statues, an entire area of the museum, in fact, that depicts small humanoids, rather elf-like. And I'm talking about small humanoids, rather elf-like, as depicted here. And I believe that they are depictions of the Fae, or fairy people. My own term for those beings, regardless of where they appear in the world, is little folken. That's my term right there, okay? I made that, huh? I invented that term, huh? Okay. I myself am 100% convinced of the reality of the little folken. I do not know whether they exist in corporeal form, but I have seen way more than enough evidence to conclude that they can affect our physical reality under certain conditions. The beings are small, beardless, with round, jovial faces, and almost all of them are smiling. It is a little creepy, however, as their childish grins do seem to mask a hidden evil. I wouldn't trust one of these little bastards, and I hope I am never put into a position where I need to. I mentioned that the beings were beardless. There is one exception. Huatahuache, or whatever. I can't exactly say his name because it's written in, goddamn fucking Toltec or some shit like that. All right, here's the deal. Huatahuache is an enigmatic little figure who is distinguished amongst the fairy people in Mesoamerica by the fact that he has a beard, a full-grown beard. He looks like a white man, all right? The indigenous peoples of the Americas are almost all exclusively beardless. So who is this little entity? A puzzlement. He also has a brazier, like a little fire pit that he carries around attached to a strap, so that he carries around like above his belly, it appears. And the brazier is, of course, indicative of fire, and it can also be indicative of metallurgy.